I have to start this with a confession. I've wanted to explore and amplify the story of Alaska Native culture for a long time now, but I've been scared. As a Black American woman, I know what it's like to have someone else try to tell, or hell, even erase your people's story for you. While I'm welcome into cultures, conversations, and homes around the world, I'm also hyper aware of my position as both a student and a guest. I don't think I've ever felt that more than in my locally Indigenous experience traveling for nearly 2 weeks throughout the state of Alaska. Let's start with the land. Okay, for most people venturing into Alaska, specifically from the contiguous United States, your point of entry is most likely going to be Anchorage. I don't care about your race, ethnicity, or lineage. An absolute must when you visit is a drop-in at the Alaska Native Heritage Center. When I ruminate over the idea of land and whose it is, Alaska's story runs deep and Indigenous. I was able to sit down with executive director of the center, and now a dear sister friend of mine, Emily Edenshaw, to get an on-the-ground look at the work that's being done there.
Here at the Heritage Center, one of the messages that that we've openly shared with everyone is that no matter where you go, whether if you're in Alaska or in the lower 48, you're on Indigenous land.
Yes, you are.
But part of that is if you were not born here, if you were not native to these lands, then you are a visitor. And in being a visitor, you have a responsibility to learn the history of that place.
Right. Think of it as entering someone's house. When you step on Indigenous land, it's about self-awareness, respect, and paying homage to whose home you're actually within. In Alaska, the feeling was omnipresent for me and something that I wanted to learn more about so that I can do better.
There is just such a lack of information that exists. And I see it every day. Tourists that come to the Heritage Center, I hear it time and time again, I had no idea.
I think society, especially cancel culture, has us fearful of making mistakes. Making public mistakes specifically. What I'm learning here in Alaska is that you cannot be fearful of asking the questions. If you want to represent a people and a culture accurately, you must include them in your discovery and research phase. There is no other way. You have to set aside both your fear and your ego and then engage.
I would say that it's very much connected to honor and respecting the land in which you reside. In today's society, there is more of a growing effort to do more land acknowledgements, which I am 110% supportive of. But I think being able to work with Indigenous communities to find a way to, how do you say this? How would you like us to acknowledge your people, acknowledge your tribe?
Talking with Emily really hit home for me because she's emphasizing and living what I believe is the heartbeat of communities of color around the world. It's always the people and how we come together.
When we think of Alaska, Alaska would not be Alaska if it wasn't for Alaska Natives.
Yeah.
It's our cultures. It's the Indigenous peoples that make Alaska. You cannot find Alaska Native cultures anywhere else in the globe. This is where our heritage, our cultures start, and that's what makes this place so special. Yeah.